we had a change in positions. We exited our biotech stocks and we bought Nvidia. This doesn't happen very often, so I want to talk about this. It's an important milestone in every hedge fund's history. It's when you change positions, particularly in a hedge fund like ours, which trades very rarely, because of course it gives hopefully a better understanding also of where we stand and how we think about generally our investment thesis and where we think the markets are. This is not even wrong podcast. It's March 24, 2023. This is Crimdelco. Since the last update, we're down 9%. The market is down 1%. For the year, we're up 52.3%. The market's up 3.1%. We're outperforming by 49.2%. So we exited Intelia and Beam, our last two biotech positions, and we added Nvidia. We added a little bit of leverage on top of it. So we have now about 15% leverage again. I want to talk about the leverage first. We think that the financial crisis is very scary and that people are, rightly so, very nervous about how things will pan out. We're taking this risk because we believe that fundamentally the situation is the following, that this will be a creeping bailout of the bank's depositors across the world, not just here in Silicon Valley. The reason is because the Federal Reserve and the central banks in Europe and so on and so forth, they just don't have another choice. So this is our fundamental thesis. It's the way we think about this will go. Of course, it might be nonlinear in the sense that you could have issues and hiccups and volatility. But overall, in times like this, when people are really very concerned and scared, this is the time when we believe it's good to add liquidity to the market. Now, let's talk about the specifics of Nvidia. Nvidia just had their GTC. It's a very exciting company. Now, the stock is very expensive. So this is a caveat that we have to acknowledge. But we believe that the reason Nvidia is where they are is exactly why the stock is so expensive also, because they are actually, they're one of the rare companies that has the narrative and has the numbers to back it up. And that's what happens in the market when you have the narrative and it happens in the business, meaning you actually show the numbers. If you say that you're going to grow AI in the data center and then you grow the data center by 50 or 80 or 90%, then the market starts buying into it. The risk is, unfortunately, the valuation, but and that is a risk, of course. The slightest hiccup can put the stock down 50%. But we believe that overall, basically what NVIDIA is going to do is NVIDIA is going to become the AWS of AI. This is the fundamental thesis. So they're going to have a general purpose compute platform for matrix multiplication, which is really what AI is all based about. So let's say GPT and other BART and whatnot, all these technologies that are proliferating now across the world are based on simple dot product multiplications. Certainly more, excuse me, it's of course more than that, but that is the fundamental thesis of NVIDIA and why we think that it's a very good investment, because they have a very good solution for that. And they have a very good general solution, which is really what matters. Like, think about it, like you have two approaches towards AI. One is the Tesla approach, which is you have a very specific AI solution for a very specific use case, in this case, self-driving cars, or you have a general solution for everybody else, and that's what NVIDIA is. There's probably not going to be a lot more in between. So it's going to be general. So basically, NVIDIA is the AWS of AI. It's the Microsoft of AI. Microsoft generalized operating system for the PC. AWS generalized the operating system for the cloud. And NVIDIA is generalizing the operating system for AI. What does that mean? It means that you have to run models on hardware. So they start with the hardware. It's kind of an upside down pyramid where you start with the hardware. That's your actual expertise. And then you build a stack on top of that, communication software, CUDA. You plug into supply chains for AI. So let's say if you're a bank that wants to do fraud detection, you can plug into a model that goes all the way down to the hardware that is provided by NVIDIA. If you have, if you are a self-driving company other than Tesla, you can plug in, and so on and so forth. So that's the thesis, and we believe the market is enormous, because this is only the beginning. I mean, this is excuse me, I'm a little bit under the weather. If you think about the way this compute generally works, so if you go back to the 80s, you have Microsoft providing the operating system for the PC, and then you have AWS providing the operating system for the cloud. You have Oracle providing the operating system for the database technology. So you have these companies that grow and grow with the market, and they usually grow because the market grows much, much faster than the company can even provide, because that's what compute is. Compute is solving problems, and there's this exponential demand. Typically, it's like when you provide somebody, let's say, with the ability to analyze text like GPT, the demand grows exponentially because people are desperate for intelligence, people are desperate for knowledge, people are desperate for outsourcing medial tasks, and that's what AI does. I think generally, I'm trying to get this point across, that the beauty of compute and typical innovations such as, let's say, AI in this case, is that with the growth, a lot of new applications emerge. So this is not just, you can't just look at this and say, well, the market is $1 trillion, Nvidia is going to get half the market or something like that. The market could be 10 trillion, who knows? Like it's so gigantic. The idea that you have this ability now, let's say, to do attention models, very large language models, transformers, and this is just the beginning. Who knows where this is going to go? But in the end, it's always the same problem. It is highly parallel vector multiplication, matrix multiplication. This is what Nvidia does at its core, and that's why the company is so successful. That's why we should have bought Nvidia way back. We wanted to buy them. We bought them, sold them, bought them, sold them. This is the third time we're investing in Nvidia. I know it's a little bit of a weird love and hate relationship that we have. We started yesterday and the stock is down 3% since we bought it, so it's a bad omen. But overall, we're still very confident that Jensen Huang has a good business here. And he has a good grasp, and he's all in on it. And that's what I like about it. Now let's get to the biology stocks. Why did we get out of biology? Well, first, we've been in there for 3 years. We have made no money. So since 3 years, we've been in the Crispr stocks and the synthetic biology stocks. And this whole thesis that the engineering methods will take over biology, quite frankly, it's not happening. It is the party line, like somebody once told me in the conference, but it's not happening. The actual foot on the ground, when the rubber meets the road in biotech and healthcare, we're still in the old world of alchemy, of bespoke trials, and all of that stuff. And quite frankly, I'm getting bored even analyzing the space. So I don't have much more to say. It's not working. For 3 years, we have made no money. I think the problems are that nobody is all in. There's no Elon Musk for CRISPR. That's the fundamental problem. We have very, very highly regarded people such as Jennifer Doudna and so on and so forth, but they're not all in. They are professors, they're business people, they're on boards of companies, they raise money, blah, 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 but there's no real action where somebody takes it into, like Jensen Huang wants to dominate AI, Tesla wants to dominate the electric luxury intelligent cars. There is no such thing in CRISPR. So this is the first problem. The second problem is it's highly regulated. Healthcare is a corrupt space because of the regulation and because it is, complicated and so on and so forth. I don't even want to go there. Again, it's boring. I've caught myself many, many times reading, papers. For example, I was not subscribed, but I read the CRISPR journal quite a bit for whatever I could get my hands on. I was, looking at company presentations. I was going to conferences, listening to people. I was just getting more bored and bored and bored, and I'm not bored with Nvidia, and I'm not bored with Tesla. And this is really, in the end, the purpose of this podcast is to give people a sense of what it feels like to run a hedge fund. Follow your gut feeling. If you are bored, then maybe there's something wrong with the companies that you're following, and maybe you should change. You should be, because this is Bruce Lee. Okay, you don't need to have a lot of tools in your repertoire. You don't need to have a lot of portfolio companies. You don't need to have a lot of ideas. It's okay to have 1 or 2 ideas. If they work and make you money, that's all you need to know. And this is really, really the most important takeaway from this particular episode. If you have a thesis that works, and if you can't stand behind it, and if you are interested in what they have to say, then go with it. Yes, there is some fluff with NVIDIA. They're inviting people like Demis Hassabis and Ilya Sutsketer and those types just to do marketing, and I get it. But in the end, that's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to bridge the gap between the normal user and the AI community, and that's what NVIDIA is doing. And it's an interesting problem to be solving, and that's why we deployed our capital in that space. Thank you.